How do we love wrestling couples? Let us count the ways. The billion-dollar duo that runs the show, the Glow Queen and the less successful Uso, from El Idolo and the Figure Eight Master to everyone's favorite fashion disaster. Hey, I'm a poet and I'm well aware of it. Just the nature of the business being on the road for so many days, it makes sense that these beautiful, fit, charismatic talents would be falling in love left and right, and we are here for it. But some couples don't quite make sense to us. And hey, we're not judging. We want everybody to be happy, but I'm Señor Siete for 7 Wrestling. Let's take a look at 7 more weird real-life WWE couples. Now, before we get into this, we appreciate your support, so if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and last ride that notification bell. Also, we've got merch. Show you're part of the 7 Wrestling Brotherhood with one of our cool shirts. Oh, and special thanks to SayTheVexus8332 for coming up with that name. And a quick note, this is our second time hitting this topic. We had a lot of fun with it the first time, but based on a few of the comments, it seemed like people thought we were making fun of these couples, saying they shouldn't be together or one was better off without the other. That's absolutely not the case. This list is just pointing out couples that have differences in either their personalities or even surface level things like their in-ring gimmicks. We here at 7 Wrestling celebrate love in all of its forms. Unless, of course, you're one of those people that eats a raw tomato like an apple. You don't deserve love. Moving on. Number 1, Dead Man Dating. Alright, pop quiz hot shots. What was the very first 7 Wrestling video of all time? It was this look at some of the worst tattoos in WWE history. Obviously, Cody's love child between Optimus Prime and Lex Luger got the cover treatment, but we definitely hit on The Undertaker and his questionable body art. No, not the cool-ass sleeves, we like those, and not the giant BSA pride tattoo on his stomach. Hey, if you're fond of your time as a Boy Scout, that is fine with us. Yes, we know, it's BSK. Don't roast me in the comments. We're of course talking about the neck tattoo he got in honor of his second wife, Sarah, which apparently was a wedding gift. That's sweet, right? You know, most people just get a La Crusette. The Undertaker and Sarah seemed like 2 peas in an elimination pod, with Sarah enjoying all the same things the Undertaker did, like boxing, UFC, Harley Davidsons, beating up Diamond Dallas Page. But alas, till death do us part isn't quite a binding contract when you're marrying a dead man. And the duo would divorce in 2007, and Sarah's name is now this smudgy mess. Ugh, La Crucettes are forever. Tattoos are not. Around this time, the WWE had a program known as the Divas Search. This was a way to integrate more fitness models into the programming. Notice I said fitness models and not female wrestlers. The ones that learned the craft would stick around and do quite well for themselves, talking about Layla L, Eve Torres, Maurice. They'd all have good runs in the company and make names for themselves. Most of the others would flame out pretty quickly, especially if they ran afoul of Randy Orton and Edge. And one of those that managed to transform herself into quite a talented worker was Michelle McCool. During her time with the company, McCool would catch the eye of the dead man, but Michelle didn't even want to meet him. In an interview with Digital Sky, she'd say, "I grew up watching, and he is not the most inviting person when you're watching as a fan. He was telling someone the other day she doesn't like long hair, she doesn't like tattoos, she says I don't look all warm and fuzzy, and I'm like, yeah, you don't." So I grew up watching it, and I didn't even want to meet him. I didn't want to meet Kane, and obviously, I married Mark, and Kane is the nicest guy you'll ever meet. But what makes this couple even more surprising is the Undertaker's gimmick of being the Prince of Darkness, complete with occult imagery and even a portion of his career where he'd crucify his opponents on a cross. Symbol. It was a symbol. That's a big ol' Undertaker T, not like, a lowercase t. Meanwhile, McCool is a devout Christian, even incorporating crosses into her ring gear and giving her Styles Clash variation the nickname the Faith Breaker. When McCool would encourage The Undertaker to join her at church, he admitted in an interview with Ed Young that he was hesitant at first, telling his wife, "I believe in God, I'm good, but he also added, it's not going to work. He expected the experience to be overwhelming, imagining the rafters shaking and the pastor throwing fire and brimstone at him. To his surprise, it was nothing like he feared. I went from feeling tense and on edge to leaning in thinking, wow, this is pretty cool. Today, The Undertaker and Michelle spend time with their family, with Taker attending WWE events, participating in speaking engagements, and occasionally protecting his wife from sharks. Yes, really. Number 2. Big, strong boy. When I was a young man, the way we got to courting was to approach a woman, strike up a conversation, and try not to embarrass ourselves. Believe me when I say, it was horrifying. With the advent of dating sites such as Match.com, that got somewhat easier. Dating apps would come along and a connection was only a text or two away. But today, the best way to find a partner is simply to get signed to the WWE developmental program NXT. Check it out. Trick Williams is dating Lash Legend, Carmelo Hayes is with Kalani Jordan, Thea Hall and Nathan Frazier are together. I get it. Surrounded by young, attractive, fit, like-minded individuals. You know how they say the Olympic Village is just filled with athletes hooking up all the time? But this is an Olympic Village that never ends. And if you need a reason why it's better to find a partner in NXT than on a dating app, well, here's a little statistic for you. Apparently, 90% of the positive swipes for men on dating apps are for gentlemen who are 6 feet or taller. Boo! And for the record, ladies, old Singer Siete is 6 foot on the button, but I've already given a lady her La Crusette, so back off. The bias against shorter men has been extensively researched. Studies show that taller men tend to earn higher salaries, are often viewed as more competent, better leaders, and more intelligent. A 2007 study even revealed that as early as kindergarten, shorter boys were perceived as less academically capable compared to their peers. Research from the University of St. Andrews in 2014 found a strong correlation between height and perceptions of masculinity. On dating apps, this bias is especially evident. A 2005 study discovered that men who reported being 6'3" or 6'4" received about 60% more messages than those listed as 5'7" or 5'8". Interestingly, though, short men do have one notable advantage. They tend to live longer on average than their taller counterparts. Or you could look at it the other way, and they are lonelier for longer. The point we're getting at here is short kings do way better in person. And one short king that proves that point is the big strong boy, notice I didn't say tall strong boy, the 5'7" Tyler Bate. Tyler's dating history is wildly impressive, having been in relationships with Toni Storm and current Women's World Champion Liv Morgan. But his current girlfriend, as of the posting of this video, proves that height is just a number, baby. Nowadays, you'll find Bate snuggling up with current NXT superstar Sol Ruca. That's right, the 5'9" master of one of the coolest finishers in the game today thinks those height statistics can simply suck it. Look at him. Adorable. Number 3, opposites still attract. In our last video, we discussed that perhaps the wonderful mysteries of who we love and why we love them was best expressed in the 1988 smash hit, Opposites Attract. Paula Abdul and MC Scat Cat truly hit the nail on the head when they said, things in common, there just ain't one, but when we get together, we have nothing but fun. And back then, we were referring specifically to lingerie pillow fight legend Terry Runnels and her relationship with legitimately the scariest person ever step in the ring, New Jack. And while most of the names on this list do fall under the Opposites Attract umbrella, nobody represents this better than the happily married couple of Dean Ambrose and Renee Young, or if you follow AEW, Jon Moxley and Renee Paquette. Renee is best known for a time in front of the microphone, currently doing backstage interview and hosting duties for AEW, but previously, she was the first ever female commentator on Monday Night Raw. She was also a featured cast member on WWE's Total Divas program, which is pro wrestling's equivalent of Bravo's Real Housewives franchise. She's very professional, very well put together. Her Instagram is filled with her showing off her various different outfits, and her husband is definitely the MC Scat Cat to her Paula Abdul. Since leaving the WWE, Jon Moxley has blazed a new path, usually leaving a trail of blood to follow him by. He's had death matches in GCW, participated in the first ever mainstream exploding ring match in North American history in AEW, and he's held New Japan's most prestigious title while looking like this. He doesn't like social media. For someone who is wildly famous, he doesn't seem to enjoy the celebrity lifestyle. So how did these two even get together? Renee would tell Chris Van Vliet that she started noticing rumors about her and Moxley dating on Twitter. As John was making his way to the ring with the Shield, she would say to him, "Hey, people on the internet for some reason think we're dating." And he was like, "Looks good on you, babe." And I was like, "How dare you?" Oh, wait a minute. John Moxley flirts? This guy? Aw, he lowered the shield that was around his heart. Today, Moxley and Paquette are happily married and are raising their daughter together. And that kid will have two very diverse role models. Number 4, Nature Boy's Boy. Okay, getting into this list, it was very important for us to not have it be like, this person's super hot and this person's kind of basic, because life isn't just about looks. If you don't have a partner who can make you laugh or make you smile, I got news for you. Your life is going to suck. Humor goes a long way. Charisma goes a long way. What attracts one person will distract another. Wait, distract isn't the opposite of attract. Repel? Yeah.
What attracts one person may repel another.
Boom, nailed it. Okay, now that I've significantly beaten around the bush on this one, the Nature Boy Ric Flair is one of the most charismatic people to ever walk the face of the earth, much less step inside of the squared circle. And where did all that charisma come from? Well, we have it under good authority that when his wife was pregnant with his son David Flair, he placed his hands on her pregnant belly and somehow sucked out all of David's charisma for himself. All right, now clearly we made that up, but honestly, what is the explanation? David Flair had a run in WCW in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it was underwhelming. Everything a wrestler could use to succeed, I'm talking about looks, mic skills, in-ring talent, physique, and yes, charisma, were all lacking. And again, I am sure David Flair is a wonderful guy. I've literally never heard a negative thing about him other than his time in the ring. So it was a big surprise to learn that during his time in WCW, he was dating Stacy Keibler. This Stacy Keibler, arguably one of the most beautiful, charismatic, well-liked people in the history of the business. The same Stacy Keibler who would become America's sweetheart during a run on Dancing with the Stars. The same Stacy Keibler who's responsible for this meme. The same Stacy Keibler who beat up Jake Gyllenhaal in the 2001 cinematic classic Bubble Boy. The same Stacy Keibler who dated George Clooney for 2 years. Let that run around in your brain for a little bit. Multi-millionaire, movie star, Oscar winner, tequila magnate George Clooney dated the same lady as former United States champion David Flair. And my initial thought was, well, David's famous, his dad is good with the company, so he probably has money, but she was in WCW. Everyone was famous. Everyone had money. So for the sake of my sanity, let's just say that David Flair has the greatest personality of all time. It just didn't translate onto the screen. Number 5, the Queen of Suplex City. It's easy to joke about how friggin' easy it is to get into the WWE Hall of Fame, and I'm not even talking about the celebrity wing, although Drew Carey getting inducted for climbing into and out of a ring has got to be way up there. But the name that always comes into my head is Koko B. Ware. Koko never held any WWE titles, wasn't involved in any big WWE angles, although I will give him this, the Ghostbuster finishing move was awesome. So I consider him the measuring stick for Hall of Fame worthiness. If Koko can get in, then surely a WrestleMania main eventer deserves a slot. If Koko can get in, then the dominant 3-time WWE Tag Team Champion should be in. And if Koko can get in, then one of the biggest draws of the Attitude Era should definitely be in as well. That's right, we're talking about former WWE Women's Champion, best-selling Playboy model, and inflatable chair salesperson, Sable. Sable had been her husband Mark Merrow's manager up until the 1997 Slammy Awards, where the world's longest rubber band helped turn her into one of the most popular people in the company. Funny how that works. Over the course of the next few years, she'd become a centerpiece of WWE programming, appearing on the covers of TV Guide, Playboy, Collect magazine. Wait, she's a collectible woman? What does that even mean? Like, her merchandise is collectible, right? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Get her creepy talking head or her teddy bear that features handprints over her bare boobs. Bare boobs, haha! Unintentional pun. Moving on, she'd leave the company, sue the company, then return to the company in 2003, just in time to meet and fall in love with the next big thing, Brock Lesnar. When Lesnar left the WWE to try to become an NFL football player, Sable left shortly afterwards. And we haven't seen her in the WWE since. The duo would marry in 2006 and have 2 sons. Maybe the reason we find this pairing so odd is because we can't imagine Brock Lesnar being intimate with anything or anyone. The dude's like a force of nature. It'd be like swiping right on a hurricane or an earthquake. Not that hurricane or that earthquake. Add to that by all accounts, when Brock Lesnar isn't being one of the best professional wrestlers of all time, he just likes to hang out on his farm, which seems like the last thing Sable would want to do. But when Lesnar defeated Frank Mir at UFC 100 and he said, "I'm going to go home tonight and drink a Coors Light. I'm going to drink a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing. I'm going to sit down with my friends and family, and hell, I might even get on top of my wife tonight," he was talking about Sable. So weird. Anyhow, it's a mystery as to why Sable wasn't inducted during Brock's time with the company, but I'm sure they have their reasons. At any rate, more power to the happy couple. That is, if they are still a happy couple. Number 6. Yes, girl. At the end of the day, professional wrestling is just another form of storytelling, so it makes sense that when one trait is valued, it would find its foil in the opposite direction. A handsome wrestler faces off against a beastly wrestler. A brave wrestler is set to go against a cowardly wrestler, and a masculine wrestler would be paired against an effeminate wrestler. Professional wrestling has long been a domain where hypermasculinity and traditional ideals of toughness dominate, so characters like Gorgeous George made perfect heels. Known as the Human Orchid, George Wagner would become one of the industry's biggest draws with his Gorgeous George character. Lavish robes, platinum blonde hair, spraying the ring with perfume before his matches. The subtext was not subtle. But this was all just a role that George was playing. By all accounts, George was a hard-partying ladies' man who had been happily married a couple times. Wait, can you be happily married a couple times? Over the years, several wrestlers would do their own take on this gimmick. Exotic Adrian Streep, adorable Adrian Adonis, and Goldust, to name a few. Fortunately, we've evolved to this point where these kinds of characters can become heroic and even cheered. Well, maybe not all of them should be cheered. Following in the same vein today is the flamboyant WWE tag team known as Pretty Deadly. Comprised of Elton Prince and Kit Wilson, this playful yet conniving team is known for their theatrical personas and extravagant fashion sense. They exude charisma and charm with a touch of arrogance. Their colorful outfits, flowing hair, and confident demeanor make them stand out amongst the rest of today's cool, moody tag team division. Known for their synchronized tag moves and underhanded tactics, they have achieved significant success, including reigns as the NXT Tag Champions and the NXT UK Tag Team Champions. Since debuting on SmackDown, the duo has been hampered by injuries and haven't quite been able to find their place, despite being one of WWE's most unique and dynamic tag teams. And when you see them in vignettes like this, you might assume that they're an actual couple. But much like Gorgeous George before them, they're both in relationships with women. And where did they meet those women? You guessed it, NXT. Elton Prince and NXT announcer Kelly Kincaid welcomed their first child into the world on September 20th, 2024, while Kit Wilson and NXT star Stevie Turner tied the knot in the same month. And if there's any justice in the world, the first baby gift that Kit gave to Elton was a onesie that was just sleeves. Number 7. Oh, Mickie, you're so fine. One of the first signs that the WWE was capable of putting together a good women's division is when they launched the feud between Mickie James and Trish Stratus. As Trish's crazed stalker fan, Mickie had a gimmick that had legs. Instead of just a one bout and done, the duo could twist and turn around each other, leading to their epic match at WrestleMania and a feud that would follow. From there, Mickie would become a staple in the company, winning the women's and Divas title on several occasions. She was known for her solid in-ring skills, her wild attire, and her loud, fun-loving personality. And outside of the ring, Mickie James was a country singer. James released her debut country album, Strangers and Angels, on May 18, 2010, followed by the single Hardcore Country later that year, which became her TNA entrance theme. Her second album, Somebody's Gonna Pay, debuted at number 15 on Billboard's Heatseekers chart. James toured extensively, performing at venues across the US and events like the CMA Music Festival. In 2016, she released the single Shooting Blanks, earning Song of the Year at the Native American Music Awards, where she was also inducted into the Hall of Fame. So, it does raise an eyebrow when the boisterous country singer ends up with our reserved, suit-wearing general manager of SmackDown, Nick Aldis. Mickie would first catch the refined Aldis' eye at a TNA show. Actually, scratch that. It was the other way around. During an interview with Chris Van Vliet, Nick would tell the story of how he was at a TNA taping, posing for photographs when Mickie thought he was too far away to hear what she was saying. Apparently, she said, "I'm a-lookin' and I'm a-likin'." Aldis absolutely did hear this and shot her a look of his own. This caused Mickie to turn several shades of red. The interest then was mutual, and the couple started dating shortly thereafter. Today, they're happily married and are raising their son together. And if this wedding picture is anything to go by, then maybe they're perfect together. Perfectly weird. Well, there's our list. Did we forget any other weird wrestling couples or so? Please leave them in the comments section below. Also, if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and kick that notification bell. Till next time, I'm Singer Siete for Savin Wrestling saying, bye-bye.